Hello, students of class ninth. How are you all? Hope you all are fine. But I'm not well. I'm your English teacher, Meena ma'am, and present for you with chapter 7, packing, to explain you. So, if any disturbance is there, sorry for that. So, I'm going to start the chapter 7, packing. This chapter is in your unit 2 syllabus. Right, students? Okay. So, as you all know, that we are learning from home. So, on behalf of New Era Public School, I'm here for you, and I'm starting the chapter 7, packing. Fine. Now, students, tell me, uh, do you like to go on trip? How do you feel when you have forgotten something when you have gone to a trip? Now, here, actually, this is a story of three friends, right? And you know, students, who is the writer of this chapter? He is Jerome K. Jerome, right? Is the writer of this chapter, and this is an extract from his story, Three Men in a Boat, right? So from the story, Three Men in a Boat, this extract is taken. So it starts from the middle. Fine. Okay. Now here in this chapter, there are three friends. Now, right? One is the narrator himself, and two friends, George and Harris. Right? Now, all these three friends, right? They are going on a particular place or going on a trip, and these three characters are packing, are doing some packing of the luggage, right? So naturally, uh, the writer told that he was little bit good in packing and all these things. He knows something more about that. First of all, he thought that he would direct his friends, he would order his friends that pack this and pack, don't pack this, don't put this, all these things I'll order and they will do according to my orders. But here, see friends, see students, what happens? The writer himself is doing all this labor work, he's packing, and two of his friends are sitting in the or lolling in the sofa. So now, what is the situation of the writer? Right? Here, a fun is there, funny and humorous story is this. You will definitely enjoy, dear friends, dear students. Okay, I said I would pack. See the starting. What the writer said, narrator said that I would pack whatever is there, all the things keep beside me, and I'll pack everything. I rather pride myself on my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. Now, what he says, I rather pride myself. What is the meaning of pride myself? That is, I am proud of what? On my packing skill. I was little bit good in packing, he said. And he was proud. He was feeling proud about his skill. It surprises me myself. Sometimes how many such things there are. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. You know what he said? That about my skill, I was also surprised, right? But I was impressed. For what? That this is my skill and I know much more. And that impression he wanted to put on Harris and George, right? He was trying to see that he is more skillful than his friends. They left into the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. And what is the meaning of uncanny? That means strange or weird, we can say. George spread himself over the easy chair, and Harris cocked his legs on the table. Now he was ready, and the narrator suggested that he would pack all the things. Right? Now something weird, something strange happened. What happened? They both left all the work on narrator, the writer, and they both, what did they both do? One of them spread himself on the easy chair, another one cocked his legs on the table. कोक माने फैला के टेबल पर एक पांव पे दूसरा पांव चढ़ा के बैठना, that is cocked. This was hardly what I intended. Actually, he did not expected this. What I had meant, of course, was that I should boss the job and that Harris and George should potter about under my directions. Previously, I told you, no, what he intended, what the narrator intended, that he want to do the bossism, that I'll do the bossism and sorry, and what the friends will do the job. So he wanted that only. I pushing them aside every now and then with, oh, you, here, let me do it. There you are, simple enough. Really teaching them, as you might say. There, taking it in the way they did irritated me. Now, let's understand this. What he said, actually, he wanted to say that do this, don't do that, let me do it. This is very simple, very enough, right? He wanted to say all these words. So instead of that, what happened? They both sat without any kind of work, and that thing irritated the narrator. There is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I am walking. Now here the narrator did not like that only he is working and rest of the people are sitting and enjoying. So he never liked that. I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. He would kill on the he would loll on the sofa and watch me doing things by the hour together. He said, it did now. I'm not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and walking. Now, in the past, it happened once. What happened? The narrator lived with a man. वो एक man के साथ रहते थे. Who used to make me mad doing that way. So he used to do all these things as George and Harris were doing. So that thing made him mad. And what he was doing? He would loll on the sofa. जैसे कि आराम से सोफा पे सोना. That is called lolling. So he would loll on the sofa and watch me doing things by the hour together. कितने घंटों तक वो मुझे देखता रहता था सोफा पे आराम आराम से बैठा बैठा. He said it did now. I'm not like that. The same thing happened over here just now. And he thought that now I am not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and walking. Still माने एकदम शांत, जैसे कि मैं शांत बैठा रहूं एंड दूसरे मेरे साथ स्लैविंग या करे या मुझसे वर्किंग करवाए. That I don't like. I want to get up in my and superintend and walk round with my hands in my pockets. He wanted to be a superintendent. He did not like to walk and other would see him. He wanted to keep his hands back or in his pocket. He wanted to superintend everything and tell him what to do. It is my energetic nature. I can't help it. This is my nature. That only I wanted to do. I don't like this. मुझे ये अच्छा नहीं लगता कि कोई मुझ पे ऑर्डर करे कि तुम ये पैक करो वो पैक करो. And George and Harris were doing the same thing, right? पास्ट में भी उनको एक मैन ने उनके साथ ऐसा किया था जो उनको बिल्कुल ही अच्छा नहीं लगता था. However, I did not say anything but started the packing. I didn't say a single word and I started my work of packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought. Really, it was a long procedure. I thought that suddenly I would do that, but it was not so. I could not do it. It was going to be, but I got the bag finished at last, and I sat on it and strapped it. At last, the bag was full. एंड ही सेट ऑन द बैग, जैसे कि हम करते हैं ना, पूरा बैग पर जाए तो अगर बंद नहीं हो रहा है तो हम उसके ऊपर बैठ जाते हैं, राइट? एंड वी जस्ट क्लोज इट, वी डू इट, वी शट इट. फाइन, ओके. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris. You don't want to put your boots inside, your shoes inside? And I looked round and found I had forgotten them. The narrator looked around and looked everywhere where the boot was. Actually, it was lying outside and he forgot to put inside the bag. That's just like Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I'd got the bag shut and strapped. Now that was a humorous thing, that Harris looked at the boot and he knew that the narrator had forgotten to put it inside in the bag. But he did not speak a single word. He just looked. And then, after he shut the bag, once again he told him that you have forgotten this, and that was a matter of becoming angry. So, of course, until I had got the bag shut and strapped, of course, and George laughed. One of those irritating and irritating senseless laughs of his. They do make me so wild. Now there was an irritating laughing. By whom? By George. George laughed, and that thing irritated him, and he became wild. Means he became very angry. I opened the bag and packed the boots in. Once again, the narrator was very angry and he opened the bag and packed the boots in. And then, just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Now he was to close it. At that time, some ideas, a dangerous ideas was there in his mind. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. This thing always happen, even with us. When we go we think to go at some trip or somewhere else, right? If we are staying there for 2 or 3 days, first thing we are remembering that is our toothbrush. But if we are going tomorrow, so in the early morning we need it, right? So what we are thinking, then let me brush my teeth tomorrow and then I'll put inside. So if we think that, gradually it happens that we forget to take toothbrush with us. It happens. So I what the narrator does, see, I opened the bag and packed the sorry. Yes, I opened the bag and packed the boots in, and then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I picked my toothbrush. Sorry. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and makes my life a misery. Now, toothbrush was only a haunted thing, right? That when I am traveling, whenever he traveled at that time, the same thing happened all the time and makes my life a misery. Misery means full of pain. So, because of brush, my life was in misery. I drain perspiration and get out of bed and hunt for it. And in the morning, I pack it before I used it. All the time it happens that whenever I have to go to any trip, I dream of the brush only. That tomorrow I'll wake up, tomorrow I'll pack my toothbrush and everything. So then I repack and have to unpack again to get it. And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. And then I repack and forget it. And have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. All the time it happened that every time he used to forget the brush, and what he had to do, he had to take it in his hand wrapped in a handkerchief, and he had to rush towards the railway station. So it was a haunting thing for him, right? Toothbrush was a haunting thing for him, which he always used to forget. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now. And of course, I could not find it. What is the meaning of mortal? Every mortal thing means every ordinary thing, right? Of course, I had to turn every ordinary thing out now. And of course, I could not find it. I rummaged the things up into much the same state that, okay, I'll explain up to here. Of course, I had to turn every ordinary thing out now. मुझे सब बाहर निकालना पड़ेगा अभी. And of course, I could not find it. फिर भी मुझे मिला नहीं. I rummaged the things. Rummaged means searched in a hurried or careless way. Much the same state that they must have been the world was created. Now what happened? And when chaos reigned, what kind of world was created? A confused world was created. And chaos reigned. Reign माने उसका राज था वहां पर. किसका राज था? Chaos का. Because he was finding the toothbrush. and he took out all the things out of the bag. You can see in the picture. Look at the friends, both George and Harris. They are sitting, they are resting, and narrator is packing, and see the things are everywhere. Of course, I found George and Harris 18 times over. When he was finding the brush, 18 times it happened that he found only Harris and George brushes, not his. But I couldn't find my own. खुद का ब्रश तो उसे कहीं मिला ही नहीं. I put the things back one by one. Now this was the time to put all the things inside repeatedly, and held everything up and shook it. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked once more. कि मैंने जहाँ बूट रखे थे, बूट के अंदर ही मेरा ब्रश था. Found it inside a boot, and he got that. He came to know that his brush was inside the in the bag. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. Now see what happens. Both of them are giving reminder the things one by one. Now he gave the reminder for the soap. I said I didn't care. I hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. Right? Now he did not care. Right? He thought that whether it is there or not, I'll not take care of that. And I slammed the bag shut and stacked it, and found that I had packed my spectacles in it. See, one more funny thing happened, that he slammed the bag. जोर से उसने पटका बैग का ऊपर का जो ढक्कन था वो और कवर, और उसको फिर से एकदम से ऊपर बैठकर उसने पैक किया. तब उसे याद आया कि उसके जो स्पेक्टिकल्स थे, स्पेक्स, वो अंदर रह गए. एंड हैड टू रीओपन इट. मुझे फिर से खोलना पड़ा. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. And then there remained the hampers to do. अभी हैम्पर्स माने लार्ज बास्केट्स, जो कि फूड कैरी करके लेके जाना था. तो हैम्पर्स पैक करने की बारी आई. Harry said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time, and thought that he and George had better to do the rest. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. Right? Then what happened? That he had to pack the food. At that time, what happened? That ये हमें 12 hours के अंदर सब कुछ कर लेना है. And thought that he and George had better do the rest. उसको और जॉर्ज को तो रेस्ट करना है. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. मैं तो बिल्कुल बैठ ही गया, and they went from there. Now up to here, students, I'm finding some difficulty in speaking. So in the next part, I'll explain the rest of the chapter. Okay, if you find any difficulty, please go through the chapter 2-3 times and try to understand. Thank you.